Hi, I'm Bob Wolverton, your Northwest Realty Advisor, and how are you on this fine day? Me? I'm a little frustrated, but this video is going to help me get over it. And the reason I get frustrated is because when I go through the multiple listing service and I see photographs of very poor quality, it drives me absolutely crazy. Because you only have 6 seconds on average to capture a viewer's attention in your online marketing. So it's critically important that it's of the best quality it can possibly be. Because when it's of great quality, it can actually make you money on the sale of your house. So that's going to be the topic of our episode today, making a great first impression in your online marketing to maximize your gain. So in today's real estate world, the vast majority of marketing is done online, and that's why it's critically important that your online material is the best that it can possibly be so that you can capture the interest of the greatest number of people that are within your target market of what you're looking to get to your home. So when I go online and I see photographs that obviously the agent took with their cell phone that are of extremely poor quality, I think they're doing a complete disservice to their client, and it just drives me crazy. So as an example, let's look at some photographs that we've seen online that we know are good quality, and let's talk a little bit about why those are good quality. So this first one here, as you can see, the entire room is evenly exposed. Now this is what we call HDR photography, high dynamic range photography. So this is actually a blend of multiple exposures so that every portion of this photograph is properly exposed. And I'll give you a little introduction to HDR photography in a little bit. But one of the things that you'll notice about this photograph is that when you look at the windows, even though it was a bright sunny day outside, the windows are not overexposed. And then the dark shadow areas of the living room are not underexposed, and that's achieved through HDR photography. Now this is the way that the human eye would normally see it, but the camera doesn't see it this way if you take one single exposure like you would with a cell phone. Let's look at another example here. So here's another home, a living room here, and again you can see the outside's not overexposed, and overall the room is evenly lit. And again, this is an example of how you would see it with the human eye. And that's what we want to do, is we want to present the best image online that we can. As another example, here's a Woodinville home, or excuse me, this home is actually in Seattle. Big picture windows, and notice they're not overexposed. The shadowy areas of the room are not underexposed, so they're not too dark. Just a nice balance, exactly the way the human eye would see this. Let's see, we have one more example here. So this is the Woodinville home here, and again, big picture windows, outside's not overexposed, evenly balanced, so that you really get a good sense. And this home is actually online, visually appealing to the viewer. Now, we can contrast that with a photo that looks like this. So here you see the dark areas are extremely dark. The photo overall just looks dark and drabby. Here's another example of the kitchen of that same home. So as you see how the windows are completely overexposed, this is obviously an agent that took these photos either with their cell phone or their point and shoot camera. They obviously didn't use HDR photography, nor did they use a professional photographer. Now this is the interesting thing. These are the photos of a house that's on the market right now. I actually used this as one of the examples in my video that I did on setting your listing price, because this house has been languishing on the market for over a month now, when all of its competition has been sold in 12 to 14 days. So even though I think this house might possibly be a little overpriced, these photos, these poor quality photos, aren't helping the seller's cause at all. And I'll give you an example why. So this exact same home sold 5 years prior. The previous agent used a professional photographer, and that photo, let me find it here real quick, from 5 years ago of that kitchen looked like this. Now if we go back and compare the two photos, what you'll notice, nothing has changed in this kitchen except the photography. The cabinets are the same, the countertops the same, the refrigerator and the floor is the same. So let's go back to the other photo, and that one right there. Look at the difference in the photography. So when you compare this photo compared to the old photo of the kitchen, which one's way more appealing to you that you would want to go see? Now let me give you another example of that same home. So one of the other photos, the living room that we looked at, the dark dreary living room, 5 years ago, the exact same living room looked like this. much more visually appealing. The windows aren't all overexposed and all the colors are evenly exposed. Now this one appears to me to be a little oversaturated with color, which I'm not a big fan of, but I'd rather have that than the dark dreary photo. So the way that this is done is through HDR photography. So let me give you a quick example of what HDR photography is about. So you remember earlier when I mentioned HDR photography is actually taking multiple exposures of the same shot and then blending them together for the best exposure so that the camera is portraying the image the same way the human eye would see it. So this is an example I found online of HDR photography. So you see the big photo here, and the thing to notice is in the sunset is perfectly exposed, and yet the building on the left side of the photo and the shadow area is also very well exposed so that you can see the detail in the shadows. Now the way that was done was by combining these three photographs that you see on the left hand side. So as you look at the very top photo, notice how dark it is. All the shadows are so dark, but the sun is perfectly exposed, or the sunset is perfectly exposed. In the middle picture, the sun is a little more overexposed, but now you're starting to see more of the detail in the shadows, so the mid-range there is now properly exposed. And then the shot on the bottom is now properly exposed for the shadows that were so dark in the first photograph. And then when you take those three and you blend them together, the result is a photograph like this, and that's what the human eye sees. When you look at these three individual photographs, the camera can only see so much dynamic range of total light, and that's why in the top one you get it exposed properly for the bright sunset, but then the darks are too dark for the camera to handle, and you go to the bottom photograph and it's just the opposite. When you expose properly for the shadows, then where the sunset is too overexposed. And that's why HDR photography is so necessary to achieve that quality of what the human eye would actually see when they walk through your home. And this is why it drives me crazy. Agents need to hire professional photographers that do this type of work to put their best foot forward when marketing your home online, because this is what you want people to see. This is what attracts somebody that says, hey, I want to go see that house in person. Poor quality photographs, never going to do that for you, which might be why that example I just showed you is still languishing on the market and hasn't sold yet. Okay, now let's talk about the use of video for your marketing for your home. There's not a whole lot of agents that are doing video because it's so expensive to do. Now, I personally do video for all my listings, and I also do video for some of my friends' listings because I think it's that important to marketing the home. Now, you don't have to have it at this point, but I can tell you video is coming on strong as being the primary driver to getting somebody out to see your home, because consumers say through surveys that they are influenced 96% of the time about an online purchase or their interest in seeing a property. They're influenced by the video. So that's why it's so important to do that. And I'll show you some examples here. So we look at this home right here in Kirkland, and this is just kind of a quick outside shot here. Gives you an idea of how the video is presenting the home. And let's go to the inside portion of the house real quick. You can see how the video in the house flows. Now we can also go to, let's see, here's another video. We actually call this a reveal move, and this is where we're backing the camera off and revealing more about the house. But as you can see, as this reveals the entire home, this is a home you might want to see. It is just visually appealing, and it draws the viewer's eye in because of the video action. Now, one thing that I've learned, and I'll show you this in a Woodinville video here, is that a voiceover is a very good thing to have in a video, because what it does is it directs the viewer's eye to see specific things that you want them to see in the video. So let's listen to this one as we do the voiceover real quick in the living room of this home. Look at those hardwood floors. Look at that open design floor plan. Look at the natural abundance of natural light that comes through those skylights. This home is an absolute gem. Also notice the natural gas fireplace that serves both the outdoor seating area on the deck as well as the indoor living room area. Okay, before we wrap up this video, let's just take a couple of seconds. Let me show you some examples of photos that I've actually seen on the Northwest Multiple Listing Service that are taken by other agents. So this first photograph, doesn't this make you want to come out and take a look at this house? I mean, what a wonderful pair of shoes and a basket of laundry. I don't even know what this photograph is trying to convey. In this photograph, very grainy photo, and who are those people? And perhaps they might want to tidy up the kitchen a little bit before you take that photograph. On this one, so you can see the real estate agent taking the photo in the mirror with, probably it looks like a cell phone probably, and of an unmade bed. Why? How's that going to market your client's home? I don't get that. Here's an interesting photograph, and this is where an agent would also go through with the client and declutter the house before the photographer comes. So again, you're putting your best foot forward. So again, that's the responsibility of the agent to work with the client to declutter the house so that it photographs well. Let's see, where are we? Down to this one here. This house looks like it was ransacked, but yet let's put this in our marketing material online so we can get people interested to come see this house. Again, I don't get this one either. So those are some examples there. In fact, let me take this off and go to a good quality photograph just to have as a background right now, because this is just so frustrating. So the bottom line is, you definitely want to have a conversation with your realtor to make sure that they use a professional photographer to take HDR photography to make the best images of your home possible for your online marketing. If they're not the type of agent that does professional photography, you might want to rethink that choice. I'm actually surprised that some of these photos that I showed you, that agent's designated broker would say that's okay. To me, as far as professionalism in this industry, those photos are not okay, and you shouldn't accept those either. So have that conversation with your potential agent and find out what sort of photography they're going to do. Find out if they're going to do videography. Like I say, it's still relatively rare because it's so expensive to do, but it's a conversation that you can have. So that's it for our episode today. Yes, making great first impressions online can definitely gain you money or maximize your gain in the sale of your home. I hope you found today's video interesting. I hope I gave you something of value. If you have questions, write down in the comments section below this video. If you have some questions you'd like to ask me personally, my contact information is in the description area below this video. Otherwise, the only thing that I ask of you is please click that subscribe button. If you think you know somebody else that could benefit from this information, forward the link to them, because that's what it's about. It's getting the information out there so you can be an informed consumer to maximize your gain in the sale of your house. Thanks for watching. We have new videos every week. See you next week.